driving me crazy. What did I do? Oh, what did I do? My tears for you make everything easy, clouding a sky of blue.
Oi, what are you up to out here, Claude?
Minding me own. But if you must know, I'm doing an old pal a favour. Do you mind telling me something?
What?
Why is it all you coppers have got such nasty, suspicious minds?
Well, that's because of all the nasty, suspicious characters we have to deal with.
Right, son, hey, don't talk to any strangers.
You're driving me crazy. What did I do to you?
Morning, Sergeant Blakeson. Out the way. Go on. That's it.
What's your game, then?
Mrs. Such, is it?
Well, it's not Tom Mix.
Very good. Arthur asked me to gear this.
Arthur asked you?
Oh, yeah, Arthur, your husband, before he died, like. Oh, obviously.
Not a bill, is it?
No, it's something you can take advantage of.
Simon?
What?
Come here.
You'll never go to heaven, Claude.
Read this.
Oh, my dad.
What seems to be the problem?
It's Karen here, Doctor. Over these last few weeks, I just don't know what's happened to her. Honest to God, I don't.
I've told you, Mum. There's nothing wrong with me.
Yes, there is, Doctor. She can't sleep, she's not eating. She must have lost at least half a stone in weight.
Because I've been trying to lose weight. That's why.
Doesn't look to me as if you need to lose any weight at all, Karen. Let me take your blood pressure. Take your jacket off.
There's nothing wrong with my blood pressure. There's nothing wrong with me.
Well, then there's nothing to worry about, is there? Just turn your hand round, that's it.
I mean, it's just stupid, is this?
Fine. If you'd like to wait outside, please, Karen. How's she been of herself lately, Mrs. Fletcher? I mean, has she been sleepy or depressed? Excessively talkative, perhaps?
Oh, very talkative, yes. Usually you can't get more than 2 words a day out of her, but just lately you can't seem to shut her up.
Is she moody at all?
Oh, up and down like a yo-yo. One minute she's full of it, and the next ready to bite your head off over nothing.
You haven't found anything in her room, have you?
What sort of thing?
Paper wrappings, powders, pills.
Well, as a matter of fact, there was something I found when I was doing a room out last week.
Oh, yes?
Black bombers.
That's what they sounded like from the way Mrs. Fletcher described them.
And what did Karen have to say?
She told her mum they were a new tablet her school pals were using to help with their periods. Mrs. Fletcher didn't like the sound of that, so she flushed them down the toilet.
Oh, that's a pity.
Well, that's what I thought.
So what did Karen have to say?
She stuck to her story.
There's not much we can do about it, is there?
Except keep an eye on the situation. I'll drop in on them in a couple of days, and if she's still showing any of the same symptoms, I'll pass it over to you officially.
How old is she?
14. Going on 35.
You're getting younger.
I know.
See you later.
See you. I'm in here, love. Oh, my God. I really think we should get you over to casualty.
I told you, Kate, the helmet took the force of most of it.
Yeah, but you could still have concussion.
Well, if I have, there's a doctor in the house, isn't there? How bad is it, anyway?
Well, there's a big crack down the middle with the odd bit of brain tissue glistening through. Apart from that. All right, it looked a lot worse than it was. But I still think you should have an X-ray.
I've had worse than this playing football.
Better safe than sorry.
And if I've got any sort of headache tomorrow, I'll go straight to the hospital, all right?
And you've no idea who it was?
No, all I saw was stars.
We've never had grave robbers in Aidensfield.
Ow!
All a bit gruesome, eh?
I don't suppose you've any idea why this particular grave might have been singled out.
Do you think that it was? It wasn't just a random attack?
Well, it's impossible to say, really.
Poor Mr. Such was only buried a couple of days ago, you know.
Really?
Oh, yes. Conducted the service myself.
Was he a parishioner?
Only in the very loosest sense, I suppose. He wasn't exactly what you might call a regular attender. He was a pig farmer, you know.
2.09. All right. There you are. Chap.
Mind you, he was into muckier things than pigs in his day, was our late and unlamented Arthur Such.
He was what you'd call known to us, was he,
You
sir?
could say that, Rowan. Petty larceny, receiving, you name it.
I reckon he'd have gone on the game with Arthur if he'd found anyone that fancied him.
Yeah, well, Betty must have fancied him.
She was just desperate.
Who's Betty?
Mrs. Arthur Such, the grieving widow.
Better known as Sweaty Betty.
By anyone unlucky enough to stand downwind of her.
Well, who'd want to dig her husband up?
Well, why don't you ask her, Rowan? She'll need informing anyway about what's happened. Carry on.
He's done it again.
Excuse me.
Yeah?
PC Rowan, Aidensfield Police. Is Mrs. Sutchin?
Barn.
Beg your pardon?
Preparing feed for pigs.
Oh.
Well, I hope you're proud of yourself. That's what I hope.
Me, Mrs. Satch?
Well, that is what you get paid for, isn't it? Keeping the peace round here. Not making much of a job of it, are you? When even the dead can't rest in peace anymore.
I don't suppose you've any idea who might have done it.
Me?
Well, what I mean is, did your husband have any enemies who might have been responsible?
Enough to fill Wembley Stadium, lovey. But as far as I know, there were never any body snatchers amongst them.
Well, if you do think of anyone, let me know, eh?
I will.
Right.
We should have finished job last night while we had the chance.
What? After you nearly brain PC-49 yonder, you mean? And as for that low-life father of yours, if he thinks he's had the last laugh on me, think again, Arthur. Think again. Leave it alone.
When I kissed you on your lips, I knew that you were made for me.
And that was Frida and the Dreamers. And here's another one you won't remember. Billy J. Kramer and Back to Me.
I'll be sad and blue. Don't you ever leave me. I'm so in love with you. The birds in the sky would be sad and lonely if they knew that I lost my one and only. They'd be sad if you're back to me. The leaves on the trees would be softly sighing.
Remember, go quietly.
Here I'll stay. Here I'll stay.
Well, that's all, Kiddy Winkies. This is Tiny Weedon saying night-night, sleep tight, watch the bugs don't bite.
Right, come on, you lot, off your bums.
Evening, Gina.
Hi, Nick. You just coming off, are you?
I should be so lucky. George still away, is he?
Till Friday, yeah.
You coping okay?
Just about.
All quiet on the Western Front, is it?
Oh, it's been deafening tonight.
Now then, Nicholas. You got anybody for it yet?
What?
That job somebody did on my pal's grave.
You knew Arthur Such, did you?
Oh, I go back a long way. We had some good laughs together. A right little so-and-so he was, I can tell you.
As long as you watched your pockets, eh?
You could say that, yeah.
Well, I don't suppose you've any idea who might have done it.
Me?
Well, seeing as you're a friend of the family.
No, I said I was a friend of Arthur's, not a friend of the family. I mean, have you seen his missus? Can you imagine Big Betty grabbing hold of you in the middle of the night? No wonder he went to an early grave.
Now then, lads.
Oh, no.
He's not dead, is he?
Knocked himself out, I reckon. Go on, get it. Come on, let's get out of here.
Graham!
Hello?
A man's been hurt. Send someone quick, will you? I think he might be dead.
Send someone where, though?
Behind the village hall.
Who's speaking, please? Hello? Hello?
Come on, come on!
How is he, Kate?
You won't get any sense out of him tonight. He's out of danger, but he's still concussed.
Must be something in the air around here this week.
Obviously.
Who is he?
Tiny Whedon. He's a disc jockey.
Do you know him?
Well, I know of him. His name's on a poster down the village hall.
So who did you get the phone call from?
A young girl. She wouldn't give her name.
Someone from the disco?
Could have been. The voice sounded familiar somehow.
Why didn't she give you a name?
Didn't want to get involved.
Which probably means she was involved in some way or another.
How's your head?
Aidensfield Police? Yes, Mr. Sims. What, again?
They nicked his shroud.
It wasn't a shroud he was buried in, Sarge. It was his best suit.
And they took that?
No, Sarge, just his trousers.
Well, I knew things were getting bad, but I'd no idea anyone out there was that desperate.
You're not really going to burn them, mate, Mum. A pair of trousers, aren't these?
Oh, what did you have in mind? Going down a pub in them?
Well, we could sell them, couldn't we?
Don't you realise it's incriminating evidence?
It seems such a waste, that's all.
So do 18 months. When you're spending them behind bars. Give 'em here, you daft dollop.
Mum, it's that copper again.
I had a funny feeling it might be. Coming to summer, eh? When they're even robbing the dead now. Not that I'm surprised, mind you.
No?
Oh, no. People have no respect for the living or the dead these days. Far as I'm concerned, the rot's setting after that Lady Chatterley's business. Have you read it? It's disgusting, honestly.
I'll have to take your word for that, Mrs. Such.
Oh, you aren't, you know. They got a copy down the library. There's a bit of a waiting list, mind.
So you've no idea who might have wanted to nick your late husband's trousers?
But you will keep asking me these daft questions, won't you, lovey?
The trousers did match the jacket he was buried in.
How would I know? It wasn't me dressed him.
Well, you must have seen what he was wearing.
Lovey, I couldn't stand the sight of him when he were alive. So there were no way I were going looking at him when he were dead.
Right. OK. Thanks very much.
You're welcome. But aren't our police wonderful? Who's laughing now, then, Arthur?
Who was it undressed me when I was brought in last night?
As a matter of fact, I did.
Oh, not a pretty sight, right?
You said it.
Thank you. What happened to my clothes?
Weren't thinking of leaving us, were you?
No. I just wanted something out of one of my coat pockets, that was all. I promised not to decamp.
Right.
easy-going me wound up knowing you. What a pity you could not be easy-going too. All those other guys you stepped out to see didn't worry, easy-going me.
Hello?
Oh, hello, Doctor. How are you? Nicely, thanks. And Karen? Oh, she's much better, thanks. Back to her old self, really. That's good. Hello, Karen.
Hi.
Your mum tells me you're feeling a lot better now.
I told you. There was never anything wrong with me in the first place. See ya.
20 words for one they have these days, don't they? Does Karen ever go dancing? Just dance disco at Village Hall.
Lost something, have you, Mr. Whedon?
No, all seems to be here. Thank you.
Mr. Whedon?
Yes?
PC Rowan, Aidensfield Police.
Oh, right.
Are you feeling fit enough for a bit of a chat?
Yeah, but I don't remember much about it, mind.
You remember being attacked?
Oh, aye. Jumped on by these 3 lads.
How old were they?
Teenagers. 16, something like that.
So what happened?
Well, I'd just finished my gig. I was on my way back to the van, and all of a sudden there they were.
And what did they say?
Nothing.
Well, they just laid into you?
Well, put it this way, I could see that's what they had in mind. So I legged it like, only I must have tripped up or something. The next thing I remember is being here.
Did you recognise them?
No, too dark to say.
Had there been much trouble back at the disco?
No, there's never any trouble at my discos.
So why did they ever go at you?
Well, I suppose it could have been my wallet. They might have known I was carrying. I always insist on being paid in cash.
But they didn't take it?
Probably too scared, I reckon, when they saw the state I was in.
Did they take anything else?
Nothing, no.
You know it was a young girl that called us?
I didn't know that, no.
Don't suppose you've any idea who it might be?
Let me put it this way, officer. She certainly wasn't with me.
Could you tell me why you want to see the bank manager, please?
Our safe deposit box. I believe we do have one with you. Mind you, last time I looked in it, it were empty.
If you could just hold on for a moment, please.
Ooh, they really fancy themselves, just because they come to work in a frock.
Mrs. Such?
That's correct. And this is my son, Simon.
Now, as far as this deposit box of yours is concerned, I shall, of course, need proof of identity.
I think you'll find it's all there.
We shall also need the appropriate key. Right. If you'd both like to come this way, please. Right, Mrs. Such. I'll leave you to it.
Thank you.
Goldfinger, he's the man with the Midas touch, a spider's touch, such a cold finger.
Blimey, Mum. We're rich.
Karen Fletcher.
Eh?
The young girl who rang, it was Karen Fletcher.
What, the girl who had the amphetamines?
Yeah, and according to her mother, she was at the disco.
So what was she doing hanging around the back of the village hall at that time of night? Now, when you rang, why didn't you give my wife your name, Karen?
Because it wasn't me who rang, that's why.
But you were at the disco.
What if I was?
And when you left the disco, did you go straight home?
Yeah.
What time was that?
11 o'clock, something like that.
And how long does it take to walk home? About 5 minutes?
Suppose so.
The disco finished at 10:30.
So?
So, if you'd have come straight home, you'd have been home by 11 at the latest.
Suppose so.
Is that what time she arrived home, Mrs. Fletcher?
No, it wasn't.
What time was it?
Well, it was certainly after 11.
How would you know, Mum? You're in bed.
But not asleep, Karen. I can never get off till I know you're in safely.
It was you that rang us, wasn't it, Karen?
Look, it's got nothing to do with me, all right?
Tell me what you saw.
I just found him, that's all.
You know Tiny Whedon, do you?
From the disco. That's all. All the kids do.
And what about the kids who attacked him? Do you know them as well? That's what this is about, isn't it, Karen? Not splitting on your mates.
They aren't mates.
You do know them.
Look, they didn't really do anything to him. He banged his own head.
And then they just ran off, did they?
After they'd gone through his pockets.
Did they find anything?
They took something, yeah.
What are their names, Karen?
One of them's called Graham.
Graham what?
I don't know. I just dance with him sometimes, that's all.
Well, you must speak to him.
Sometimes.
What about?
Music, school.
He's still at school, is he?
Yeah.
Which school?
Two large rooms.
Cute. And whatever this fella's having.
Very kind of you, Mrs. Such.
What are you going to have, Claude?
I'll have a small whiskey with you.
You'll have a large whiskey with me.
Oh, all right. Put it in with a little one.
You and my Arthur were pals, were you?
Well, not exactly pals, no. More like acquaintances, you know.
Oh, but he must have liked you to have given you that letter for me.
Oh, well, you know what Arthur's like. He's a bit like me. He liked everybody.
See what he did like, and that were a drink.
Right. Oh, well, we had some good times together, like, you know. He liked to laugh.
But is he laughing now, though? I mean, that is the question. Eh?
Don't eat the blue ones, they're salty.
While you're at it, put a couple of bottles of rum in as well, will you, love?
Right.
Party time, is it?
Johnny's, if you like, there's plenty.
No, I'd better not. I've got a bit of business on you. I need a nice clear head.
You can get this stuff a lot cheaper at the off-licence, you know.
Don't you worry about that, my girl.
But in that case, with the beer and the rum, that's just £19, please.
Yeah, keep the change.
Thanks very much.
Shall we contempt you then, Claude?
No, I'd better not, thank you.
In that case, I'll see you when I see you then.
Not if I see you first. Mind you, not a bad bit of business for a quiet dinner time, eh?
Not bad at all.
This experiment is called a neutralization experiment.
That's Graham Blaketon over there, you see, doing the experiment.
Blaketon, did you say?
Well, that's the only Graham we have in 6A.
That wouldn't be Sergeant Blaketon's son, would it?
I believe his father is a policeman, yes, over at Ashfordley.
Fill the flask. No any temperature.
Bit of a mess, isn't it?
I didn't even know he was married. Don't you start. There's a lot you youngsters don't know. Right, Rowan, my office. Best keep our heads down, I reckon.
Sarge, all I had was a first name and the class he was in at school. If I'd have known it was your lad, I'd have been on to you straight away.
Nobody's criticising you, Rowan. Where have you got him? Not in the cells, I hope.
In the interview room.
Right. Well, there's no way I can handle this, so get on to division, explain the situation, and and tell him to send someone to take over.
Right, Sarge.
Oh, one question before you do. How certain are you that Graham is involved?
Well, the girl was very certain, Sarge.
What do you think, though, Rowan?
Well, from the look on his face when his headmaster called him over.
So, what's he had to say for himself so far?
Well, nothing yet.
He lives with his mother, you see. And me and Joan, we split up some years ago. She been informed yet?
On her way now.
Well, when she gets here, tell Ventures to wheel her in to see me, will you?
Right, Sarge. I'm sorry about all this, Sarge.
So am I.
Hello, Gina.
Hiya, is Nick in?
He's not at the moment, no. I can get hold of him, though, if it's urgent.
Well, I suppose it is, really.
Come in.
Thanks.
So what's the problem?
Well, these are. I don't know what George is going to say when he gets back.
Counterfeit? I don't suppose you know who passed them? All right, on their way.
All happening again, is it? Over in Aidensfield?
You don't know the half of it, Phil. I'll see you later. Okay. Alf?
Right, Nick.
Excuse me?
Oh, it's Mrs. Blake's, isn't it?
Forrester now, actually.
Oh, yes, of course.
I believe you're holding my son here.
Yes, Mrs. Forrester.
Can somebody please tell me what all this is about?
Well, I think that Sergeant Blake would like to have a word. If you'd like to come this way, please. Sarge, Mrs. Forrester.
Oscar, would you kindly explain to me what's going on here?
Well, if you'd like to take a seat for a minute, I'll tell you.
Well,
this is difficult. Last night, there was a disco on in Aidensfield. And afterwards, on the way back to his van, the man that was running it was attacked by 3 youths. And we've reason to believe that Graham might have been one of them.
what? You're not serious?
It's hardly something I'd joke about now, is it?
Graham would never do anything like that.
Well, where was he last night?
Out with his friends.
Where?
Well, I don't know, do I? I don't keep track of his every movement.
We have a witness, you see. Says he was involved.
I don't care if you've got 10 witnesses. Has he admitted that he was?
Not so far, no.
Well, there you are then.
Not necessarily, Joan.
What are you saying, Oscar? That you believe he was involved?
I don't know.
Well, what are you going to do about it?
I'm not even handling this. How can I, under the circumstances?
Well, who is handling it?
Well, they've made arrangements for someone from Division to take over.
Oh, yes. And have you made any arrangements yet? For him to have any kind of legal representation?
No.
Well, why haven't you?
I was only brought in half an hour ago. Besides, I've no idea who your solicitor is these days.
I want to see him. Now.
Right. Well, just one final thing before you do.
Oh?
If he really is involved, can I suggest that you advise him to make a clean breast of it? It can only help his cause later on.
You really don't change, do you, Oscar?
What's that supposed to mean?
That's still the only thing that really matters to you, isn't it? Getting a conviction.
Do you really believe that?
Well, why not? That's how it always was with you.
That's pretty ridiculous. Also unfair.
I want to see my son.
Right.
Bellamy, show Mrs. Forrester the interview room.
Right, Sarge. If you'd like to come this way.
What a mess.
Drink, drink, drink to eyes that are bright as stars when they're shining on me. Drink, drink, drink to lips that are red and sweet as the fruit on the tree. Here's a hope that those bright eyes will shine, lovingly, longingly, soon into mine. May those lips that are red and sweet tonight with joy my own lips meet. Drink, drink, let them toast on. Make the hearts never part. Drink, 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 let every true lover salute his sweetheart. May she give me a priceless boon, the love in it.
Cops.
Oh, it's you again, is it?
Can I have a word, please, Mrs. Satch?
What about?
These.
Well, it's a setup, is this? We've been framed.
Framed by who, Mrs. Satch?
Oh, by him, of course. That twisted little husband of mine. Just typical of that one, is this? Typical.
Well, he's only been dead for just over a week.
Well, of course. He wanted this to happen after you were dead, when he knew I couldn't get my hands on him.
Well, I'm afraid you've lost me, Mrs. Satch.
Well, we'd no idea them notes were counterfeit, right?
So you tell me.
Well, obviously we didn't. I mean, if we had, you don't think we'd have been stupid enough to go spending them round here, do you?
Well, I don't know. You'd be amazed at just how stupid your average criminal can be sometimes.
Now, who are you calling an average criminal? Well, it's him who's a criminal. Devious little git.
By leaving it to us in the first place.
So that money was left to you, was it?
Well, not exactly left to us as such.
Oh?
Oh, what Sire means is, when he said he left it, what he means is, he left it lying about, like. Where he knew we'd find it.
Lying around where?
Here, of course.
What, in the house?
Oh, yes.
As I understood it, your husband hasn't been anywhere near this house for nearly 2 years.
Well, his life are worth to come round here.
Well, wasn't that a bit stupid of him?
How do you mean, stupid like?
Well, if he'd have wanted you to find that money after he was dead, how could he be sure you wouldn't find it before he was dead? Well, you better hand the rest of that cash back. I'll take charge of it for now. Right, well, I'll be back when the rest of our inquiries are completed.
Well, you can't charge us anything.
Who says?
I say. Because all we did was try and spend the money. We'd no idea them notes are wrong uns. Huh?
Well, let's just see, shall we?
Ooh, I wish he was still alive so I could kill him with my bare hands. Hang on a minute, though. He weren't in on this on his own, were he?
Wasn't he?
Of course he weren't. He still needed some up to get his rotten letter delivered.
Oh, yeah.
Can you charge the Thatchers with anything?
Well, we could do. Whether we will or not is something else. I need to have a chat with Blaketon once we find out what's happening with Graham. Not that that's going to be easy.
Why do you say that?
Well, according to young Karen, the lads who attacked Whedon took something from him. And when I spoke to him, he said nothing had been taken. So why would a bloke who's been robbed insist he hadn't been?
Because he couldn't admit to having what he lost.
Yeah, right.
Do you think it could have been drugs?
Well, Karen had to have got the amphetamines from somewhere. The disco seems to be the logical place. And she was hanging around outside.
Give us a kiss.
I Any sign of that lot from division, yeah?
They're on the way, Sarge.
Oh, Sarge, can I have a word, please?
Yeah, of course.
He's going through hell, isn't he?
So what are you suggesting now, Rowan? That these kids were after drugs?
Well, it certainly wasn't money, Sarge. They ignored his wallet full of cash.
Terrific.
What do you want?
The truth, that's what I want.
You don't have to tell him anything, Graham. Not till your solicitor gets here.
Oh, for God's sake, woman. Amira's his father, not a copper. That does still give me some rights, doesn't it? Graham. Last night, were you after drugs? Were you?
Just a minute. What drugs?
We've reason to believe that Whedon was a drug dealer supplying the kids at the disco.
That doesn't mean our Graham had anything to do with that.
Why else was he lying in wait for him? Graham. Was you, wasn't it? Lying in wait behind the village hall.
Not for the drugs, Dad. Not to use them ourselves, anyway.
You took some off him.
To destroy them, that's all.
Destroy them?
Look, we knew Whedon was supplying some of the younger kids with drugs, right? So we decided to warn him off. I reckon the best way of doing that was nicking his supply and giving him a bit of a belting while we were at it.
You expect me to believe that?
It's the truth, Dad. Honest it is.
You never thought of reporting him to the police, letting them deal with it?
None of the kids wanted us to do that in case they got into trouble.
Are you surprised? He has no faith in the law. Let's face it, why should he have? After what he's seen, it's done to our lives.
Mum!
Well, it's true.
Rowan, get on to the hospital and find out if that Whedon character's been discharged yet. If he has, he can't have got far. Division will want a word with him.
Right, Sarge.
I want you to do something to stop this, Oscar. Now.
Don't be stupid, Joan.
It's a well-known fact the police take care of their own when they have to.
More of a well-known fallacy, really.
There must be some strings you can pull, the years you've put in. I mean, you heard what Graham said, why they did what they did.
I'm sure that'll be taken into consideration. But they took the law into their own hands, you see. And that happens to be against the law.
The law. The law ruined my life, that's what the law did. Now it's going to ruin his.
If there was one single thing I could do about this, I would. But there will be an investigation. He may be charged. I don't know. But in spite of what happened between you and me, Joan, I am still his father. And I love him.
Love? What do you know about love, Oscar? When were you ever a father to him? You were never there when he needed you, ever. You were always too busy working, always on duty. Well, now he doesn't need you. He's got me. So let's just keep it that way, shall we?
What's going to happen to Graham?
And that depends whether the court believe his story or not.
So it's going to court then?
Mm.
Poor old Blaketon.
What do you want this time of night?
Police protection.
Who from?
Sweaty Betty Such. From what I can gather, she's looking for me all over Aidensfield. Can I come in?
You're not frightened of a woman?
Sweaty Betty is not a woman and never has been. I mean, if she misses you with a right hook, she'll knock you over with a smell.
Well, that's rich coming from you.
Hey, compared to her, I smell like the Queen Mother.
So what is this? Thieves falling out? Nothing to do with those counterfeit notes, was it?
It's got nothing to do with me.
No?
No, look, if I'm guilty of it, it's just trying to help a dying pal out with doing him a good turn.
All right, Claude, I'm listening.
Well, when he was dying, little Arthur asked me to go over and see him, right?
Right.
Well, he knew he was about to pop his clogs because he was in a terrible state with his chest. So he asked me if I'd deliver a letter to his missus, but he told me not to take it round till he was sort of dead and buried.
Did he say what was in the letter?
Well, no, but I put it on a shelf over a pan I was boiling some eggs in, and it, like, steamed itself open.
What, like accidentally on purpose?
Oh, something like that.
Well, what did it say?
Well, just basically that, like, he was sorry he'd given her such a hard time for so many years, but to make it up to her, he'd left a load of money for her and the lad, like, in the safety deposit in the bank.
Only the cash in the box was counterfeit, was it?
No, apparently. But, I mean, I didn't know about that at the time.
Well, of course not.
You trust nobody, do you? Anyway, he said, like, that there were a certain key she got to take to the bank, and he'd left the key in the right-hand trouser pocket of his best suit, which happened to be the one they buried him in.
You'll have heard of the Ecclesiastical Courts Jurisdiction Act 1860, will you, Mrs. Such? Also, the Burial Act of 1855 and 1857, and the Cemeteries Clauses Act of 1847, plus, of course, the Public Health Act of 1936. Not to mention sundry other bylaws and the exhumation of bodies without proper authority from the Home Office. No? Well, never mind. You soon will. There is one other thing we'd like to talk to you about. The small matter of assaulting a police officer with a deadly weapon. Namely, a garden spade. So if you and your son here would like to accompany me down to the station...
Now, look where you're going, down, you daft wallop.